Why? Happy, happy Wednesday. The week is almost done. Actually, yeah, it's less than halfway done. Or less than halfway, yeah, more than halfway done. With that being said, we're going to be talking about the Ohio derailment, more of a realm that I'm used to discussing, which is politicians and people of power not taking accountability for their roles and blaming others. Now, keep in mind, I do know that this was a trend going on Twitter. Everyone wants to blame the other party, except for the people that are in charge, of course. I mean, there's a couple of Republicans and independent thinkers like myself that are passing blame where it belongs. Ultimately, most of the responsibility falls onto the train company, which I think is Norwich Train Company. I forgot what the name is, but either way, it falls on them. Now, people are saying that it's Trump's fault for deregulation, but you know what? It's time to stop using him as a deflection card. He hasn't been in office in over 2 years. The Democrats had control of Congress for 2 years and the White House for 2 years. They could have made changes. But instead, they decided to bankrupt America, fund Ukraine, give us an infrastructure bill that has so much bloat. It's maddening. But anyways, Pete Buttigieg blames Trump for Ohio train derailment amid criticisms. We're constrained. How are you constrained? We're constrained by law in some areas of the rail regulations. Buttigieg tweeted, "You had the Congress. You had the White House. You could have changed laws to unconstrain you." Yes, I do know the GOP and Trump deregulated a brake system, which would have bankrupted all railroad companies because they wanted it to be done all at once instead of giving a reasonable time frame. And I'm not 100% convinced that this brake would have prevented this event. Unfortunately, things happen. Now, of course, the blame falls on the railroad company for not doing maintenance, because I'm hearing rumors that one of the axles broke, which caused, well, an axle on a car broke, which caused the derailment. And that's looking out to be more true than anything. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg shifted part of the blame for the recent derailment of a train carrying toxic chemicals in Ohio on the Trump administration, reversing a little known safety rule that only applied to oil cars. I think it's 117 cars. And when I say this one was like a 105 car, none of that means anything to me. But it's important to do that distinction. So I think oil tankers are like 115 or 117, which the brake rule would have been applied to. However, these are not those containers. Buttigieg noted Tuesday evening, that his agency has taken a series of steps to improve rail safety through historic investment, but said it was constrained by the Trump administration action in 2018. It is now 2023. 2020, you took office in 2021. You held Congress for 2 years. I mean, when Bush was told by the Supreme Court what he was doing was illegal, he got Congress to change the rules in his favor. This was dealing with the war with Iraq and Afghanistan, of course, but still. Railroad through historic investment, but said it was constrained by Trump administration action in 2018. The Department of Transportation, DOT, withdrew a rule proposed 3 years earlier, requiring trains of certain dangerous chemicals to utilize electronic controlled pneumatic or ECP brakes, saying the technology benefits were inconclusive. Just like the AR-15 ban was inconclusive. In the wake of East Palestine derailment and the impacts of hundreds of residents, we're seeing a lot of newfound or renewed and welcome interest in our work on the rail safety. I want to share more about what we're doing in this area. How about helping those people? How about making sure the EPA is involved, making sure that they get the resources available to help their lives, instead of talking about there's too many white people in construction, and that's an issue because people want their communities to be built by people like them. Nah, this whole administration is a joke. On February 3, a train carrying vinyl chloride, a dangerous colorless gas operated by Transportation of Norfolk Southern Railroad, which gets the lion's share of the blame, in my opinion. Now, my criticisms of Pete Buttigieg and Biden is that they're not addressing this issue. Now, keep in mind, when I do Google Pete Buttigieg in the topics, this does come up. I mean, it does come up. I mean, it really does. But when I go to the homepage, oh, see, this wasn't here earlier, but what toxic chemicals now is coming in. It was about the actress that died recently, but still is making me a liar because I'm doing this live. But I'm glad. I am glad that as part of the top stories. I am glad that this is getting attention it deserves. But anyways, let's go back to here. Shortly after the derailment, railroad, which is located along the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. Shortly after the derailment, Norfolk Southern opted to release the gas from the derailed cars, potentially releasing deadly fumes into the air to prevent a potential disastrous explosion. I mean, you gotta transfer the chemicals somehow. Local residents were told to evacuate the area, but assured that it was safe to return on February 9th. Shouldn't really trust the government, but who can you trust? The Environmental Protection Agency, Norfolk Southern, and Ohio officials have conducted air monitoring in eastern Ohio region and said the tests have shown the air is safe to breathe. But is it really safe to breathe? Or do we not have the proper testing equipment to make sure it's safe? Or do we not know enough about this chemical to know what is a safe amount and what is a dangerous amount? I would like to know. I mean, I'm pretty sure this isn't a new chemical. But however, locals and experts have expressed concerns that it's dangerous to return to the area. Locals and experts. The railroad company is responsible for this, and for these people who want back into their homes, the railroad company is responsible for this, and for the people who want back to their homes. That makes no sense. Those are two different completely topics. Doesn't matter. Sil Cagino, a local hazardous materials specialist, told Fox News on Tuesday their homes should have been tested. Their homes should have been cleaned. And from the onset of these people wanting to be marginalized in an effort to mitigate this. It really looks like a nuclear winter, he added. Pretty much, we nuked this town with chemicals. Buttigieg, meanwhile, has been blasted for a slow response. Just an acknowledgement, just a simple acknowledgement would have gone a long way. But like, yo, bro, we know about this train derailment. We're aware of it. We're monitoring it. But he was not talking about anything other than not enough people of color in construction. Obviously, you've never been to Florida or Texas because we got a lot of Hispanics working in construction. 10 days to address the situation, promising to use all relevant authorities to ensure accountability and continue support safety. Let's see here. The Trump administration ruled change Bush partially blame came after Congress passed and former President Obama signed Fixing American Surface Transportation Act in December 2015. The legislation established a new process, including an independent study and testing for the DOT to use, and development and update regulatory impact analysts (RIA) related to the ECP brake provision. According to the Government Publishing Office, the DOT stated in 2018 that the ECP brake requirements weren't expected to be cost beneficial under any scenario assessed. So it's a very expensive brake system that may not even been worth it. I don't know. I mean, removing the politics from the side of it, removing what I know about it, I do want our train systems to be safe because I don't think people understand how much of our luxury items, much of our day-to-day items we need gets transported through the train system. Sure, we don't really travel on train anymore, but a lot of things get transported through the train system that we rely on every day, anywhere from gas to food to dog food to makeup to kid supplies, paper, cars, trucks, heavy equipment, all gets transferred through the train system. It is literally the spinal cord of America, where the trucks are being the rib cage. It is part of the nervous system. Yeah, well, the National Transport, let's see here. We already read that one. When the National Transport Safety Board completes its investigation, the cause of the derailment, which is still being investigated, and the Federal Railroad Administration and the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration will look into the investigation results and will use all relevant authorities to ensure accountability and improve safety, a DOT spokesperson told Fox News Digital on Wednesday. The rule in 2015, Republican in the House and Senate required cost-benefit analysis that allowed for Trump administration to repeal the rule in 2017 and now makes it challenging to reinstate the rule of the previous configuration due to threats of litigation and opposition in Congress. And the statement continued. After 2015, rule was issued that the rule, including the RIA, was challenged in 5 different federal circuit courts, and Congress quickly moved to violate the rule, making it more difficult under the Administration Procedure Act to revisit the basis for advancing the rule. However, pending the results of the investigation to the derailment, the FRA and the PHMSA will evaluate actions to prevent this from happening. It's also be known that I have no clue what this word means. That the rule was actually for a different type of car, not the car that this is riding. Let's see, the vitiate, to reduce the value or quality, impair or spoil, corrupt morally, debase, symptom, corrupt, yeah, whatever. It's important to know that it was for, I think, oil cars of 117 car would have had these brakes, but the type of car that this gas was in, assuming that it was this car that the axle broke or brakes failed, this rule will not have been applied to that. So it's important to know that it means nothing to me other than it's another identification that people are taking out of context, saying that I think people are expecting that every car will have the EBS brakes, but it will only be, but the rule was only for oil or fuel base cars, which is I think 117 would have these, which probably lessen the blow financially. But anyways, the blame game is continues on, and people are gonna blame Republicans. People are gonna blame Democrats. Independents are gonna say, I don't know who to blame other than the railroad company for poor maintenance, and nothing's gonna get solved, and people are gonna be split in their camp. With that being said, leave a comment down below what your thoughts are. I'll be interested to know what your thoughts are. Who do you blame for this? Do you blame the company, or do you blame a political party, or do you blame all of above? Because I'm getting tired of this Republican Democrat blame game. I just want someone to take ownership for once. I want someone in office, regardless if it's their fault or not, to take ownership of an issue, not blaming someone else. Because that seems what they seem to do. They get in the office, something terrible happens, and they blame the previous administration. I'm tired of blaming the previous administration. I want someone to take ownership and lay out a plan to actually fix the issue. Anyways, with that being said, that is my video. Hopefully everyone has a wonderful day, morning, or evening.